Okay, in this video we're going to go from standard form to slope intercept form. And in order to do that, you'll notice that in slope intercept form, y is all by itself. So when you get a variable all by itself, it's called solving for that variable. So we're going to solve for y. That's really what we're doing. So if you see in a direction or in some instructions on a worksheet, solve for x or solve for y, what they're really wanting you to do is get that variable all by itself. And once the variable is all by itself on one side of the equation, it doesn't matter what's on the other side of the equation. It can be anything. You're done when that variable is all by itself on one side of the equation. So let's start with an easy one. This is an easy one because all we have to do is move the 2x. If the 2x were over here, it would be in slope intercept form. So to move things from one side of the equation to the other, you have two different methods. We'll do it twice. We'll do it with method 1, and then we'll do it again with method 2. And then you can choose which one you like better. So the first method is, if you think about it, what's happening to y is that 2x is being added to it. So the opposite of adding 2x is subtracting 2x. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to subtract 2x from both sides. When I do that, these 2x's go away. And I'm left with y by itself. Notice on this side of the equation, I'm left with 8 minus 2x. Because I can't add the 2x and the 8, because one of them is a number and the other one is an x. And we can't put those together because they're not like terms. But to write it in true slope-intercept form, the 2x needs to come first. So it's negative 2x. And a positive 8. Notice there's nothing in front of the 8, so there's a plus. So this is our final answer, and this is written in slope-intercept form. So we're going to do it one more time, and this time I'm going to show you a different method, but we're going to get to the same answer. Okay, so this is method 2, and what we're going to do is, as if we could pick this up and drag it, we're dragging it, all the way over to the other side of the equation. But whenever it crosses over the equal sign, it changes its sign. So let's just imagine it's positive 2x, it's positive 2x. But as soon as it crosses over the equal sign, now it becomes a negative 2x, negative 2x. It literally changes its sign. So we're going to write it again. If we move it, so it won't be here anymore, we're going to pick it up and move it to the other side. So it's going to be y equals 8 minus 2x. And again, we're going to rewrite it. The 2 needs to stay negative, and the 8 needs to stay positive. The only way we would say minus 8 is if it had a negative 8 here, and then it would have been minus 8. But it wasn't, so that's why it's plus 8. It gets a little harder when there's a coefficient with the y. So let's do one, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's say it's and it doesn't matter. We're just doing an example here. So let's say it's 2x plus 3y equals 10. Again, same thing. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Or like you could pick it up and drag it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so this is where we are now. But we are not done yet because y is not by itself. That 3 needs to go away. That 3 is being multiplied, so what we're going to do is we're going to divide. We're going to divide it by 3. but what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So if I divide the left side by 3, I have to divide the right side by 3 as well. And everything over here gets divided by 3. Then these 3's go away, which is what we wanted. And my answer then becomes negative 2/3 x plus 10/3. And I could change 10/3 if I wanted to. 10/3 is really 3 1/3, so I could write it like that, or I could leave it 10/3. So both of those answers are exactly the same. So let's pick out a couple to do together, and then you can work some out by yourself. Let's see. Let's pick 4 and 9. Okay, so we're going to do the first one. And notice that, again, what we're trying to do is get y all by itself. So if I was making a chart of everything that was happening to y, I would say that 3x was being subtracted and that it was being multiplied by 2. So I'm going to add 3x to both sides, and then I'll divide by 2, because that'll take care of everything that is happening right now to y. So I'm going to add 3x to both sides. These 3x's go away, and then I'm left with 2y equals 3x plus 8. Notice that I rewrote it so the x would be first, because that's really the format that we need it in. They were both positive, so I didn't have to change anything. I just, 3x stays positive, 8 stays positive. So that one's done. And now I'm going to go through and divide everything by 2, because once I do it to one side, I have to do it to everything. These 2's go away, which is why I did it. And then I get y equals 3/2 x, which I could write as 1.5x or 1.5x, but normally for slope, they leave it in a fraction. Now 8/2 can actually be simplified because it's a whole number. Don't forget, this fraction bar means divide, so 8 divided by 2 is 4. So if you can simplify it, especially if it becomes a whole number, you should always try to simplify it. So this is the final answer. When you convert the standard form, the original standard form, into slope intercept form, this is what you get. And as soon as you read it, you know what the slope is. The slope is 3/2, and the y-intercept is 4. And if we go back to our page, we can find our answer right here. So let's try number 9. The first thing that you should notice about this problem is that everything is on the left-hand side of the equation. Everything. Even the number. So we have to move the 3. Let's go ahead and do that first. So let's add 3 to both sides. And that 3 will go away. And then we'll get 7x plus 2y equals 3. Now it looks like normal, what we're used to seeing. Now it's written in standard form. And what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the 7x, and then we're going to get rid of that 2. So how are we going to get rid of that 7x? Well, it's positive because there's nothing written in front of it. So to get rid of adding 7x, we're going to subtract 7x from both sides. Notice that I don't put the 7x underneath the 3. I put it off to the side because we're not going to be subtracting those. Like, we're not going to get negative 4x. They're not the same. I can't take a number. 3 is a number, and 7x is an x. I can't put those together. They're not like terms. So I'm going to get 2y equals negative 7x plus 3. Again, notice that I put the x first. Negative 7x plus 3. Now I'm going to get rid of this 2, and I have to divide everything by 2. So these go away, and I really can't simplify that anymore. I could say that negative 7/2 was negative 3.5. That's true. But normally they leave slope top heavy. They don't change it into a mixed number. And I could say that 3/2 is 1.5. But again, you can leave it like that. Slope is, actually the higher you get in mathematics, the more acceptable improper fractions are. We're starting to get a little bit more advanced, so we're not going to be changing every improper fraction into a mixed number. And it just so happens the answer is right beside the other one. So I want you to do the rest of them from the top. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask me for help. And then in the next video, we're going to be doing the bottom half, where we take the standard form, change it into slope intercept form, and then graph the line.